What's up, guys? Mickey Motions here with AGUKHD for Oversteer, and we are about to do this podcast. We're going to talk about the F1 2016 Italian Grand Prix and give us our thoughts on what took place this race. It wasn't really an exciting race, but nonetheless, we're going to have a little talk with you guys as well in the comments about this Grand Prix and talk about the major points of this race. So, Alex, if you can introduce yourself as well and take off the stream. If you're there, Alex, your microphone is not on. A bit of a fail there. Sometimes we have technical difficulties. And Alex is just...
Nice. You know what? These things we did so well in the last stream. There's just the faults have to come out now, don't they?
Right.
But yeah, what's up, guys? Yeah, we're back for the podcast and review of the Italian Grand Prix. So, should I jump straight into the race report?
Yes, we shall.
Let's go for it. So the 2016 Italian Grand Prix wasn't the most exciting Grand Prix we've had, but it was certainly a crucial one for this year's championship. Lewis Hamilton started off quite badly, actually, losing his pole position and falling down to 6th from the start, just due to a bad start, really, and fell behind Ricciardo. But he managed to fight his way back up, overtaking Ricciardo and eventually Bottas, and then using strategic moves to get past both Ferraris to find himself in second place. This was caused with the different strategies. So Ferrari did a super soft race. So 2 stops while Mercedes started on the soft tyre and went on to the medium tyre. Now, of course, up and down the field, there were a few fights every now and then, but nothing really exciting. But there were some good fights with the 2 McLarens. And then Bottas was making a number of overtakes through the Grand Prix, overtaking Daniel Ricciardo in a brilliant dive bomb. Not as close as Hamilton's overtake in 2007, but still an amazing overtake, nonetheless. So, driver of the day, from my view, was Ricciardo. But when it comes to the championship, that means it's only 2 points between Hamilton and Rosberg as the championship finds itself going to Singapore for the Singapore Grand Prix. There we go. That's my race report on it all.
Okay, so that was a live race
report.
report.
Into discussion.
And yeah, we're going to go straight into discussion straight away. And let's get this on the way. So first of all, let's talk about Mercedes. Not the smoothest of intros, but there you go, nonetheless. So Mercedes getting 1 and 2, Hamilton getting a bad start, and luckily Rosberg getting the lead, of course, of the race and being able to finish in first place. So tell me your thoughts on that, Alex, since you are a Mercedes fan, of course.
Yeah, it wasn't a great race today as a Hamilton fan, but yeah, it was a pretty straightforward race for Nico Rosberg. Took the lead and was basically gone. But they were Ferrari keeping him in check. They kept them honest. Don't get me wrong. So yeah, it was a great race for Nico and for Lewis, of course, falling back in 6th. But the team did a great job putting back up into 2nd. So they still scored a 1-2. Not really much more I can say on that. Just a great day for Mercedes. They haven't had many 1-2s this year due to incidents between their drivers. So I think this is one that will go down quite well with the team.
Right, there was a few, few errors from Mercedes with the pit stop, and the fact that they actually went on to a strategy for Hamilton that obviously affected his race. If they could, I thought personally, if they could have tried to change strategy, maybe they could have tried to get the win for Hamilton. But of course, Mercedes obviously want to get that 1-2 in the bag and don't want to get the drivers racing each other, because of course they might take each other out, as we've seen in previous races. But yeah, nothing else you can really say about Mercedes. Quite a dominant finish from the drivers, and hopefully in future races we'll get to see them do the same thing, but next time maybe racing with the Ferraris in Singapore, especially on a track where there are loads of crashes, loads of incidents that take place. So hopefully we do see that. But anyway, moving on to Ferrari. So then, Ferrari managing to get third and fourth. Vettel, obviously, he seemed quite pleased with the third place. He was actually quite emotional on the podium, considering that he managed to get a podium with his home crowd and everyone just cheering his name. So, yeah, it was a decent start from them. They were, Vettel and Kimi Raikkonen managing to get second and third place. Of course, because of Hamilton's mistake at the start of the race. They did have a different strategy to the Mercedes. They were on the option tyres at the start of the race. They did try, I think was it a two-stop, Alex?
Yeah, it was a two-stop. Both drivers went from super soft to super soft and then finished the race on the soft tyre. So, completely different strategy. Not even using the same compounds, really.
Right, so that meant that obviously Ferrari tried a different tactic to try and make sure they can try and maybe get ahead of Rosberg, but just didn't really work out for them. So, yeah, they couldn't really get any pace because of the engine, of course. The engine power is what makes the difference on a track like Monza, which has long speed straights. So, yeah, nothing else to really add on that. You have anything else to add on that, Alex?
Not really. You kind of summarised Ferrari's race for me there. So, yeah, on to the next team, I guess.
Okay. So then Red Bull. Alex, tell me about Red Bull.
Yeah, not a great day for Verstappen. He had a very bad start. But Ricciardo had a great race. Even though with a Renault engine, which is not up there with Mercedes and Ferrari still, they were able to push like hell and give the Mercedes-powered units a good fight, especially within Williams, with that brilliant dive bomb, on Bottas. That was an unbelievable overtake. So I think they should be proud of their result today. Verstappen could do more, but there was a lot of pressure on him this weekend, so I think he just wanted to keep it a little bit low down, just get some points, and then go on to Singapore almost with a bit of a fresher reputation.
Right, and Daniel Ricciardo obviously did quite well today to try and get a few overtakes, and he did get an awesome overtake as well later on in the race, which was probably the best overtake of the race, to be honest. Pretty much one of the only few overtakes we actually saw during this race, which is quite a shame. So yeah, this Italian Grand Prix was quite boring, so obviously it might be a little bit repetitive during this podcast. But yeah, Red Bull can't really do anything else really with the engine that they have, so they can be quite pleased with what they did. Verstappen also did an amazing move on Perez. Perez obviously wasn't confident to make the chicane, and Perez just went brown on the outside, and Verstappen obviously just happily just taking the place. So yeah, so Red Bull need to try and make sure that they can get a clean race in Singapore, and hopefully, fingers crossed, Verstappen doesn't make any defensive errors, shall we say, and let's hope it's not against Kimi Raikkonen. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So, Williams finishing in 6th and in 9th. Massa didn't really have much of a great race, but Bottas did have a considerably good start. But unfortunately, later on in the race, he was struggling for pace, with Hamilton overtaking him, and then Daniel Ricciardo actually, getting the overtake after that. So, yeah, Alex, thoughts on that?
We didn't see very much of Massa, did we? But Bottas actually, in my view, did a good job. They re-overtake Force India in the constructors' standings, so that's a pretty good job. Bottas had a great race. I think at the end he was definitely dropping off the pace. But until then, actually, I think he was doing fairly strong. He was holding off Ricciardo well. He was keeping the Force Indias at bay. So I think Bottas should be proud of his result today. But Massa, I think someone said in the comments of our race reaction, he definitely expired in this race. So,
it's quite sad to see Massa, especially me being a Massa fan. The announcement of him retiring was quite disappointing, but in a way, it just had to be done. It just had to be done, because otherwise, it was just going to be an endless disappointment for Massa. And someone else just had to replace him at the end of the day. With Massa being outperformed by Bottas as well, clearly shows that Massa is just completely struggling at the moment and just showing his age, really. Age is what matters in the sport. Seeing a lot of young drivers coming in and showing their talent, like Verstappen, and doing pretty well. So yeah, nothing else I can really say about that. Williams, I don't know what they're gonna do because they really need to try and change the team somehow. Try and, I don't know, change the car, make it faster next year, because this year has been quite disappointing, considering that they have a Mercedes engine, which is, of course, what is needed for this year with the regulations that we currently have, to make sure that you have the speed to make the overtakes done. But yeah, nothing else that we can say about Williams. Anything else to add on?
I think we'll talk. Oh, I was just going to say that bit on Massa. Yeah, it's sad he's going. However, I feel at the same time, be happy he's going in this way where he's made his decisions. Like, it's not Ferrari ousting him, which people thought a few years ago was going to be the case. This time he said, no, I'm hanging up the helmet on my own accord. So, but I think Massa's had a very successful career, almost winning the championship in 2008, and a massive respect to him. I think 2008 was considered the only year that I think really you could only award the championship to both drivers, but now unfortunately missed out. But that's Formula One. But nonetheless, he's had a great career, and I think he's actually really helped bring Williams back up. Because you've got to remember, in 2013, before this new regulation change, no points really, nowhere. So the fact they are in a point scoring position consistently, there's a little bit of praise that deserves for him, and we'll see who takes his spot. There will be a special at some point on this channel before the Singapore Grand Prix, where we will discuss the driver lineups of the future. But I think we should move on to the next team.
Let's go. Let's do it. So, Force India with 8th place and 10th place. So that is Perez and Nico Hülkenberg. I've been quite impressed with Force India lately with the past few races. They've managed to get some decent finishes. Last race they finished, 4th and 5th. And this race they finished 8th and 10th. Not the best race, to be honest, for them. But they're consistently getting points, which is great to see. Perez and Hülkenberg, experienced drivers, which we hope to see them actually do a lot better in the future. Maybe getting more podiums, which is what we would like to see. But yeah, not really the most amazing races for Force India. What do you think, Alex?
I think they did what they could. They haven't got the best aerodynamics on the grid, don't get me wrong. They are a team that doesn't have as much funding, but the drivers have done a great job. Another double points finish. So if I was Force India, I'd be very happy with that result. Yeah, it's a team that's going strength to strength, isn't it? Next year, I reckon if they get the right funding behind them, they're a team that should, in theory, be able to win a championship, or at least be in a contention for one at the moment, because I feel that they have the resources to do it. I feel they don't have the money, but they have the drivers as well. So I think they are closing in. They are where they should be now, I think, and that is ideally the best of the rest. If you got the top three, Force India easily in 4th position, they have every right to be there, and they really have changed the game, as it were, for independent teams like that. Apart from Red Bull Racing, of course, but even then, Force India being a fully fledged customer team, to see them in that position, I think 2017 they're going to be one of the teams to watch. So, but otherwise, that's looking at them in the future. That's focus on today. Yeah, double points finish. Could have done more to defend against Williams. Probably they should have maybe been able to beat them, but weren't. But nonetheless, it was a fantastic result, and Force India should be very proud of that.
Okay, so I've got nothing else to add to that, so let's just move on to the next team. Okay, so obviously those intros aren't perfect yet, but in the next races, next podcasts, we'll get that spot on. We'll get the cinematic spot on for you next time. But anyway, so not a great race again for Toro Rosso, with Carlos Sainz finishing in 15th, I think it was. I can't remember what place Kvyat finished, but I don't think it was a good position or somewhere at the back. Oh yeah, didn't finish. Yeah. So it's quite disappointing. Of course, they've got the old Ferrari engine, so it's not going to be easy for them to try and get some speed, of course, on a track like Monza. but it's still disappointing for a team like Toro Rosso that are trying to obviously push young drivers forward. It really is a disappointment. It's a big shame, and especially for Kvyat, I really feel sorry for him, man.
Yeah, I feel for Kvyat. I do. Part of me feels he should be a driver in this sport because I think when he was in 2015, you got to remember. I've said it before. I say it again. He beat Ricciardo in the championship, got some brilliant results. In 2015, actually, was his best season ever, and not just on results but on pure skill. I think he's a driver that does deserve to be in this sport. So, of course, being demoted to Toro Rosso like that, which hasn't been done before. There are drivers in Red Bull that probably in the past should have been demoted to Toro Rosso,
Right.
but haven't. But I feel that, yeah, he's been given a tough time and he struggled. And, yeah, didn't finish today. To be honest, don't really remember why he didn't finish. It must have not been important, though, because we didn't really see anything about
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah, Carlos Sainz is struggling. Unfortunately, this is what you get with the last gen. I mean, they started this year pretty strong with a good engine, but we knew over time they were just going to fall back because they can't develop it.
Yeah, the issue, like I said, is that Ferrari engine, but there's nothing else Toro Rosso can do. They can't do anything about this, and they just have to sit at the back and just take it on the chin, really.
The only thing I can say about this is it is a team that is designed for this, so it gives drivers like Carlos Sainz a chance. And I thought, yeah, it's going to be questionable next year about their pace, because what about the new driver lineup? You know, where's that going to take them? Are they going to have two brand new drivers? Obviously, I think that'll be the case, because I could see Carlos Sainz very much moving off to Renault. Kvyat, I feel more and more unlikely is going to get another drive. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to be happening for them next year. You know, maybe they might be able to get a new deal with Ferrari. I personally think they should get a deal with Ferrari for 2016 power units because they haven't got the aerodynamics anyway. So the car is very understeery, etc. But I think, you know, yeah, it'll be a shame, you know, to see that team further back because I know they're capable of some extremely good results. As we've seen in the past, they're a race-winning team. And also, in fairness, a team that if they're not race-winning, have them in the past, especially last year and the year before, were able to get in the top 10 on a consistent basis. You know, even if it wasn't every race,
Exactly,
but still every now and then we're able to get some good points. That team needs to find that mojo back. They've got a great group behind them. I personally think now it is going to be, yeah, you're right, it is more of survival now, just sort of getting through these final 6 races left now, isn't it? Wow,
Right.
The season's gone quick. There 6 races left just to sort of get through and maybe pick up something for next year. Otherwise, that's it for them.
Also, I just want to quickly mention some of you guys. I don't know why your comments aren't appearing. I just only see 2 comments on my XSplit right now, but I think some of your comments are being blacklisted for some reason. I'll try and get that sorted out for the next podcast. Sometimes YouTube can have a few glitches, so nothing I can really do about that. But if your comment doesn't appear, just try again, or maybe try on YouTube Gaming itself. But yeah, we're going to move on from there now. So, next team. McLaren then finishing in a respectable. Where was it? I've lost it now. I've lost my timesheet.
Well, either way, they were out of the points, so I wouldn't worry about it. But yeah, they didn't have a great race today in results, but they had a good tussle. I think they did. In fact, there were moments when they were in the fight where they really shouldn't have been with that engine, but they weren't going to be in the points. They knew it, we knew it. So I think they had some fun out of there with that brilliant little. I think we should just let's forget about their result. Let's forget about their result right now. I want to talk about that little tussle that they had.
Right, exactly, with Button,
what a fun little fight that was. And yeah, Button on it. It's going to be sad to see him go at the end of the season. Hopefully he'll be back in 2018. Don't get me wrong. But it's nice to see that he's not going to slow down at any point. Still a very fast driver, one of the fastest on the grid. But I don't see him leaving it anytime soon when it comes to speed. So yeah, an amazing.
Like Button said though himself, he just wanted a break. He just needed a break from all the F1 he's been doing for like 17 years. F1 has taken over his life and just needs a break. Just, you know, spend some time with his family, spend his time with his girlfriend. I mentioned this in the last stream we did. You know, he lost his girlfriend, probably due to Formula 1 most likely. But yeah.
Since you find out, he's got some new Playgirl.
Yeah, I guess he's quite happy now that he's got that. But I'm pretty sure in his mind he's still.
I would. Yeah, that was going for another time in another place. Yeah, and then of course the Alonso laughing at his team.
All right, that joke. Yeah, yeah. That's quite hilarious.
That, yeah, because that must be most so demoralising on the pit wall. It's like, oh yeah, he's dropping me off. He might fall back to us, and it's like, oh, for the love of God. They're just sat there trying to do their job, doing what they can. He's just sat there laughing at them.
Yeah, classic moment. Classic
Uh,
moment there.
Chris actually asked, "Do you think there's any other personal issues in Jensen Button's life?" I don't think so. He's been in this sport since 2000. You know, eventually you're going to say, "All right, I want a break." That's 17 straight years in Formula One.
Exactly.
I don't think any other driver apart from what Barrichello's done that long
Yeah.
in this sport. So I genuinely feel, yeah, you know, but he's coming up. He's getting on a bit when it comes to his, you know, not in age, so to speak, but more as a athlete. It does eventually start getting a bit on, and even then, with his fitness, I think it's fine. I think this is just a case of the, you know, the steam, the coal runs out. Look at Webber. He just retired. What, after 13 years? So,
Yeah, just gave up and just moved over to sports cars.
and you know, I could see Button actually going to something like WEC next year, maybe for McLaren in a GT1 team, whatever, or GTE or GTE AM, whatever he does, and I could see him maybe just staying there if he has a good time. He's still got that link with McLaren, which does more than Formula One. So no reason to why he won't do other stuff. Maybe IndyCar as well if he's in the mood for doing a little bit of that. He's a driver that, in my view, could do a number of sports, and even then, he's considering doing the triathlon, the World Championships,
Yeah, exactly. He wants to
and
move on, try and do other stuff.
he's good at it. So yeah, maybe we'll see him more as an athlete in the future, which is rare because we see athletes come over to Formula One from the Olympics and stuff like that. Well, not Formula One, but motorsport. I mean,
Motorsports,
look
yeah.
at Circus. Never before have we seen it the other way around. So let's see how this one goes.
I think there was also a goalkeeper. I forgot his name. I think it's Barthez. If I mess this up, I'm gonna get a lot of hate comments. But yeah, he also I think he won like some kind of league in France or something, like a motorsports championship. So yeah, I think he's done Le Mans before as well, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's quite interesting to see when you see athletes go into motorsports or motorsport drivers go into other sports. I think there was a Formula One driver who lost his legs and ended up doing Paralympics or something, and he actually won a gold
Yes,
medal.
yes, yes. I was just thinking about it, but I forgot his name. Zanardi. That was it.
Zinardi, that's it. Yeah.
He's still a racing driver to this day. He races in the Blancpain Endurance Series, or he did at least when I last saw him. And he was using hand controls on his BMW.
Oh
It was
yeah, I've
crazy.
seen
It
that
was
before.
still
Yeah, yeah,
so fast.
yeah. It's
So
insane
yeah,
that what people can do. But anyway,
absolutely.
let's not drag on. Let's move on to the next team, Renault. Renault then. They did not have another great race. They actually ended up
Were they in
finishing.
this race?
Yeah,
Were they even in
exactly.
this one?
Kevin Magnussen finishing in 17th, and the other one did not finish. Palmer, Julian Palmer, he had some bad luck today, getting taken out by Felipe Nasr, and the Sauber. Was quite a big shunt. Can't remember what lap it was. I think it was like in the first 20 laps, maybe.
It was in the first few laps, without a doubt. Renault, they're in a really bad situation right now. I do feel by now they should be starting to score points on a consistent basis, or at least maybe being in the top 15. Like, look at Red Bull. They've got a Renault engine, and they're doing absolutely fine. They're second in the constructors. So why can't the works team get such a strong result? I mean, they are in a rebuilding process. I get that. I gotta be honest. I don't know how destroyed Lotus was at the end of it. So it's going to be a shame, but unfortunate.
The problem is they're not putting enough money into the team. They're just not. I don't think they really care about what they're doing at the moment. And it looks like at the moment, if they keep going in this direction, we might not see Renault in Formula One again.
I think we'll see that team in F1 one way or another. Team Enstone's proven to be a championship winner. So, but I think Renault knew what. Maybe Renault focusing on 2017. I have a feeling that's going to be. So maybe we'll just see them out of nowhere in the fighting for podiums.
I don't think so, because they did an interview with Flavio Briatore, and Flavio Briatore was very disappointed with how Renault is being how they're working at the moment, and he doesn't look confident for next year either. So if Flavio, the guy who used to be the team boss of Renault, doesn't seem happy with the direction that Renault's taking, then I don't see anyone doing anything at Renault. To be honest, I don't see Renault performing next year.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes next season because I think it might. If the engine seems to be decent, I mean it's not great,
Yeah.
but if it's
I mean, it's doing a good job for Red
Red
Bull.
Bull somewhere. Yeah, if it's doing a good job for Red Bull, I don't think it's the engine. I think it's something to do with the team and the aerodynamics. They've got two great drivers. I think they'll keep the drivers most likely now. I don't know, maybe Ocon might get a promotion if they do oust Palmer.
Right.
Otherwise, I feel that they're going to keep it the same. So yeah, but
Okay,
not
then.
really much to talk about them. Just another bad race. I think it was expected, this one.
Next team. Sauber then. Another disappointing race for Sauber. Like I said, Felipe Nasr not finishing the race, having contact with Julian Palmer. And where was even the other Sauber? Do we really care? It would finish
No,
in
I
sixth
don't care
place.
for
Marcus
Sauber.
Ericsson. At this point, I don't really care either. Well, I don't think there's even any point talking about this team. Let's just move on.
All right, yeah.
Let's just move on. Let's go. So, Haas F1 team. They're a team that I had a lot of hope for at the start of the year, but they kind of dropped off. Esteban Gutierrez did have a good qualification, finishing in the top 10, but ended up losing all his positions somehow at the first lap. I still don't know how that happened. Do you want to add on that, Alex?
Yeah, not a great day for Haas. Unlike Sauber, they're a team that actually does have potential. So yeah, they've done a good job, Haas, and in qualifying at least. They just were nowhere today. They do seem to just can't get it right in the race, which is a shame. But like, they're learning every single weekend, so I'm not going to give them a harsh review.
Sorry to interrupt, but they're still doing well for a team that is just started this year. They're doing really well. Like most teams come in and they just start at the back.
Hey, look at Manor, look at Caterham and HRT. Right. One of them is here. Only one of them is here, and even then, they're doing worse than us. So it does show that actually they're doing a miraculous job. There's no pressure on them, in my view. They can make as many mistakes as they need to now because it's going to make them a better team anyway.
Exactly.
So if I was them, it's like just learn. Right? They don't need to worry about points. If they can get more points, they get more points, obviously. But if they can get consistency in races and qualifying, as far as a team principle, now that's what I'd start looking at more. Let's move away from just worrying about the points every weekend. Let's focus on getting a consistent, good Grand Prix with some good overtakes, learning from the competitors as well. And I think actually they would be much stronger if they took that approach now for the final few races. Maybe even try and go for some points in the United States. I think they can do that.
Well, I've got nothing to add on to that, but I just want to mention real quick. You guys can just give us some questions because we'll do a Q&A session straight after we talk about all the teams. So, we're going to move on to the next team once again. Last one. So, Manor finishing in 18th with Esteban Ocon, and unfortunately Verlaine did not finish the race, but he was going to have a good race. I remember he was at 13th at one point in the race. So it was actually a huge shame that happened. I think Verlaine had some engine issues. I think it was overheating. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was. It was overheating issues, and that's what caused him to go out of the race. But yeah, Verlaine is a brilliant driver. I think we're going to expect to see him in a faster team in the future. I don't know about next year, but definitely in about 2-3 years' time.
I think he's going to probably, if I was him, I'd stay at Manor. Maybe if they do get rid of Hulkenberg at Force India, which I see unlikely, then if I was saying he's up getting him in there quickly. No, yeah, it's a good job for them. Ocon, he's just been put in the seat, so I don't think any results he gets at the moment are fair on him because he's had no testing or anything whatsoever in this car.
Right.
Did a little bit of practice session and work for Renault and Mercedes. But yeah, he's getting there slowly. I think give him some time. And yeah, but I think they were doing a good job actually, and it's nice to see that team is in. I don't think there really is. If there are back markers at the moment, it's Renault and Sauber. I'm considering manning out finally after 6 years as a midfield Formula One team.
Right.
No question. I think they're just about there. They're at the back of the midfield, but they're in the midfield. So I'm very proud of them nonetheless.
Yeah, I've got nothing else to add on to that. So I guess we can just straight away move on to the Q&A session. So if you've got any questions, any comments, we'll answer them right now. You only have like 5 minutes because we want to end off the stream straight away.
I'm going to jump straight into this that I've seen in the comments. I had a quick look at it. I haven't heard about this until just now. Chase Carey will be named F1's chairman this week ahead of a 6.1 billion sale of the sport. Formula One is finally being sold.
Really?
Liberty Media Corp. Oh God, what a name! But it looks like Formula One. It looks like he's finally saying bye bye Bernie. In which case, thank God. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean effectively the sport is being sold to Rupert Murdoch because it's Chase Carey is a long-standing lieutenant of Rupert Murdoch and is likely to be the chairman of F1's permanent parent company. Oh, for the love of sweet Jesus Christ, no!
We're definitely moving over to Sky Sports F1 permanently then.
Well, that was the plan anyway, because they're doing that in like 2 years, aren't they? So
Yeah.
we've only got a few years left.
But that means it's going to be paid TV for all countries, probably.
It is, and I think that's disgusting. The sport's in crap as it is. At least don't kill the audience.
Yeah, honestly, people complain about Bernie Ecclestone, but I think we're going to go in a worse direction than we are already.
I was hoping we'd get Carlos Slim. He's extremely rich, so I could have seen him putting it on free to air. But yes, unfortunately, we're going over to pay TV fully. We're doing that anyway in the UK, but I think for everywhere else that has got still some type of free-to-air deal, that's going down the toilet. But the way Formula One's going at the moment, I think something worries me that this is going to be a bit of a nail in the coffin, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Don't get me wrong, I love Formula One, but I don't like what it's becoming, and that's, in my view, is one of the worst things about it. But this deal's been looking likely since 2014, apparently. But we haven't heard much about it. But everyone knew a takeover was going to happen at some point.
Poochie Head saying there's other ways of watching Formula One. There definitely is other ways of watching. But you never know. Soon, later on down the line, years down the line, ISPs might start tracking down on people watching stuff for free illegally. So you never know what can happen in the future.
Well, I'm hoping by then I can have my own house so I can buy Sky TV because I haven't got it here, but I'll happily buy it. If I get my own place, I'll happily buy it without a doubt. Or, I mean, the only reason we haven't got it is because we can't get a signal. Otherwise, we probably would have it by
even
now,
so, though, is it really worth like spending all that money for boring races? It's not true racing.
That is a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I think, like I've said it before, and I say it again, Formula One needs to get rid of this 13-piece front wing and replace it with something flat and simple from like the 2000s.
Right.
Done. We don't need that amount of complex aerodynamics on the front. It's just not worth it. Let's go back to a simple system where cars can follow, and we won't be seeing any more of this. Oh, we can't get the grip. You'll just, because we see that a lot at the exit corners. You get a good front wing where cars can follow, we'll be seeing so much better racing. And even then, you could even consider the removal of the DRS if that was a possibility. But I see it unlikely. But yeah, you're right. Is it going to be worth it? This could be the end of the sport from what it looks like.
Unless the changes next year actually work out well for Formula One. Do you think that's going to work out well, Alex?
Not as well as people would expect. I think it's going to be a much faster sport, which is good. But they should have brought refueling back. They should have made it much more aggressive in many ways. But I feel the sport is losing its appeal in the end. I love IndyCar is becoming a much better form of racing, it seems. I mean, I've seeing some of the videos of that. They're going back to different tracks. Even in Japan, the GT500 series is becoming quite a thing. Formula E, me and you, Mickey, is quite fun to watch. Yeah, there's a lot of amazing motorsports out there, and unfortunately, it's not working at the moment. And Formula One, if it's taking this route, and it's going to be controlled by a company which is going to stick it all on pay TV, I think that's the that'll be it for Formula One.
Right,
But
especially
it'll just
because they're
become,
gonna. The
it'll
major
just be
issue,
forgotten.
yeah, the major issue is the fact that they're gonna try and save money in certain ways. So they're gonna try and do this thing where, of course, we have to save fuel, we have to do this and this, save this and save this, and that's what makes the sport die really, because we want to see drivers attacking. We don't want to see drivers essentially having to save their tires, save their fuel, save their engines. It's not like it was back in the day. Of course, part of being a driver is being able to have a part of those skills, but that's not for Formula One. We have other sports that do this, such as Formula E, World Endurance Championship, and many others that set a good example for this. But Formula One isn't one of those sports. I mean, the fact that we go around the world in different orders, it obviously clearly is wasting fuel for planes and stuff like that. So yeah,
There's a
I don't
lot
get the
this
point of
sport
that.
isn't doing.
They're trying to make
There's a lot
out like
this
the
sport.
Formula One is green or something, but it's just not working. It's never going to be green.
Formula One, there's so much more they can do, but they won't do it. So I reckon in the next 10 years, it probably won't even be a Formula One. WEC as well, forgot to mention them. Look at them. Wow, that's exciting stuff. Android Freak, the race was done hours ago, man.
Yeah, you missed the
Been done
race.
for a long time. And yeah, I think that's it. So I think we're kind of done there when it comes to our little rant on Formula One as a whole, which I think after a bad race like that is normally quite appropriate.
Right, so on that note then, we're going to end off the stream there. Guys, please make sure you subscribe and like this stream. Also, make sure you subscribe to AgeUKHD's channel as well. The link is in the description. There's also a link to Oversteer, which is where we do our F1 news, our reports, and F1 funny moments compilations as well. Well, guys, we'll see you there in 2 weeks' time, I guess. So, yeah, see you soon.
Yep. See you guys.